Now, I've been driving this 2024 Ford F-150 Tremor for a few days now, and honestly, I've sort of fallen in love with this truck. It's so comfortable. I love the design changes they made for 2024 with this black mask in the front end for the Tremor, in addition to all these gold accents that we're used to seeing for this trim level, and also the V6 in this thing. This is probably the first time I think I would honestly go with the V6 for this specific truck. You can get it with the 3.5 liter EcoBoost V6 or the 5 liter V8. They have the same power though. However, the V6 comes with a little bit more torque, actually 90 pound-feet of torque more than the V8. And it's so smooth and still so powerful. We're gonna talk about that more when we take this for a drive. So what we're gonna do in this video is, as always, we're gonna talk about this design, what is new for 2024, the front, side, rear, the interior, and then of course, we're gonna take this for a drive.
The 2024 F-150 Tremor is powered by a 3.5 liter twin-turbo EcoBoost V6, putting out 400 horsepower and 500 pound-feet of torque, connected to a 10-speed automatic transmission. All-wheel drive, 0 to 60 takes about 5.8 seconds. Fuel economy comes in at 18 city, 24 highway, and the price for this is $66,790.
Now, starting with the front end design of the 2024 Ford F-150 Tremor, I love the graphics here, as I said, specifically in this Oxford white in combination with all the black pieces that we have here, the black graphics in the front, and we have a new Ford badge as well, and we have cameras all over this truck. I'm going to show you all the camera views when we talk about the interior. The front mounted camera is located right here. Love the gold accents that we have here, because look at this. It's a clear connection to what's going on in the static graphics, which are these pieces down here in the middle, then goes in straight in to the headlight graphics right here. Beautifully done by Ford, and it creates a very strong identity for a specific trim level within the Ford F-150 lineup. Another detail I love about the front end is that everything you see here is pretty much all functional. You can see all the big openings here in the main grills with these adaptive vents behind it. You can actually touch these slots and they open up when the truck needs more cooling, when it gets hot on a hot day. Today is going to be 100 degrees today, which is why I'm filming this a little early in the morning. Again, the black graphics with the white color looks fantastic. Further down, we do have same big openings right here in the middle. And you also have radiators back here and active shutters down here as well. The cool thing about 2024 is now you can get this bumper to be made of steel. This is an option that you can option for when you buy your Tremor. And further down, all the way down, you have a proper skid plate down there as well. So this is properly designed to go on trails, and the integrated fog lights are full LED for 2024. The thing I would love to change on the front of the Tremor are these things up here. This looks like skin of a fish or something like that. It looks very strange. These are not functional like they are on the Raptor, so I would either just remove them or open them up and have them be functional like we have on the Raptor. Other than that, the hood design looks great. We have this line swooping down from the hood into this corner of the front end. So we have a clear connection from the top of the hood down all the way down to the front end of the Tremor. Now, looking at the side of the Tremor, there are a couple of things here that I personally would want to switch out. First of all, let's talk about the wheel and tire setup here. Your 33-inch all-terrain general grabber tires with some pretty aggressive pattern on them. You also have 18-inch wheels. These are not blacked out. They're more gunmetal, and I kind of like this a lot more than if they should just be blacked out, even though it would probably look pretty good with all the black graphics that we have all around the car. But hey, look at this, we don't have a liner in here, so it looks sort of unfinished when I look in this area here. I want to have a liner to cover everything up here, make it look a little cleaner than this. But the good news about this is you can clearly see the suspension bits and what's going on behind the rear axle. Another thing I want to delete on this truck is this running board. It's specific for the Tremor. You have the Ford integrated in the metal itself. It looks pretty cool, but to me it doesn't really help me get in and out of this truck, because it feels like it just makes it more hard. Either if I don't want to use this step, I kind of hit my leg or my feet on this thing all the time. So I would personally just want to take this whole thing off And it would also, in my opinion, make for a cleaner look. This only sits about an inch higher than a regular F-150, so I don't necessarily need an additional step to get into the truck. Couple of details right here in the front fender. This actually looks to be functional. We do have some holes in here, so why not just make these functional up top on the hood as well? This looks a lot better. We have the Tremor here, F-150 in chrome, looks pretty clean. You also have a huge side mirror here with the 360 camera mounted like here in the right here, and the indicator light on the side. Overall, it's a beautiful looking truck. Coming around to the back, in this specific truck, we do have a hard tonneau cover up top, looking great, looking very clean. You also have the Tremor logo here. This is just a sticker, but I think it looks pretty decent. Full LEDs, brand new LEDs for 2024. Look at this juicy tail. I love big, thick taillights like this. It's just a beautiful integration and creates some nice line flow in this design. Now we also have something new for 2024, which is the Pro Access tailgate. I'm not sure how useful this is, but it's just a cool little feature. So you can either open it up like this, like just like a regular door, or if you want to, you can also open up the full thing. And this is power assisted, very, very fancy stuff. You also have the measurements here. So if you go fishing, you want to see how big of a fish you get, you can measure that with these measurements right here in both centimeter and inches integrated in this plastic. The bed is nothing special to talk about here. You do have LED lights here, pretty easy accessible. I also love that you have all this, I can't remember the name of it, we're gonna have a look at that when we talk about the interior, but you have surround lighting here. So if you're at a camp spot, you can light up either the rear sides or the front end or all around the truck. Pretty cool stuff. So if you want to fold this back up, all you got to do is just hit this button, boom, and it folds back up automatically. Pretty nice stuff for a Ford F-150 Tremor. Now, when I realized I was getting the 3.5 liter V6 instead of the V8, I had one concern, and that is, are we gonna get the dual exhaust pipes that we get on the 5 liter V8? And yes, we do get them here on the V6 as well, thankfully, because if the V6 only had one of these bent exhaust pipes down here, that would, for me personally, that would be a reason to go for the 5 liter V8. But since we have the symmetrical setup here, which I love, that we also have on the Raptor, we have it on the Tremor. I don't think we have them on all F-150s, but in this case we do. They're looking great, have a clear symmetry in the rear end. And because we have this setup here, this is also one of the reasons why I personally buy the 3.5 liter V6 with more torque. Then you have this kick stand down here as well. So if you need to just jump up on the bed, have easy access to it, all you got to do is just fold this back out, and it's very easy to climb up and check out what's going on in the bed. Let's have a look at this beautiful interior of the 2024 Ford F-150 Tremor, and what a place this is. Now, this is a car that I would definitely take on a long road trip. It's so comfortable, and the range is fantastic. You get over 650 miles of range on a single tank. That is also one of the reasons why, again, I would prefer the V6. Starting with the door panel here, beautifully done, integrated nicely. A lot of storage compartments down here, cup holders, 2 of them down here. Beautiful materials, leather wrapped, soft material where you're gonna have your elbow, in addition to this orange stitching that we have going all around the interior and the exterior of the Tremor. Bang & Olufsen sound system in this one, so let's jump in here. And let's fire this up because it is getting a little hot outside. So we have a 12.3-inch gauge cluster, a 12-inch standard infotainment screen, which is fantastic. This is a huge screen, but since this is such a boxy design overall on the exterior and the interior, having a big screen like this, it doesn't really bother me. In addition to that, we have a bunch of physical buttons all over this truck, and the things that are pixelated are still fully customizable. For example, this gauge cluster right here, you can have whatever information you want in the middle of the screen. Settings, vehicle maintenance, audio, phone. You have navigation, status information, towing, off-road, gauges, head-up display, trip, fuel. And you can also customize it to have something called My View, which is going to customize it even further. And that's exactly what I want to see when we have a digital gauge cluster like this. What's the point of otherwise having everything be pixelated if you can't customize it? Now, looking at this infotainment screen here, beautiful layout as well. I love the graphics that Ford is doing in their infotainment screen and their gauge clusters. It just looks very, very nice. You have audio here, you have apps, settings. If we go into features, I'm gonna show you this zone lighting that I absolutely love. Light bulbs all around the truck. You can turn them on individually, front, back, and left and rear side, or you can turn them all on with one single button. I think this is a good idea. If you go camping, if you want to see if there are any snakes around, you just turn on the lights in the middle of the night. You can see what's going on around the truck. Super cool feature. Also have trail turn assist here. If you're on those tight turns, I do believe it's gonna lock. If I turn right, it's gonna lock up the rear passenger wheel to make the turning radius a little bit smaller. You have a bunch of different settings in here. Driver assistance as well, a lot of driver assist in this truck. One thing I don't really like is that I can't fully turn off lane keep assist system. I want to be able to turn that completely off, not have it help me at all if I go close to the lines. It's just annoying to have those type of features, not being able to turn them off completely. Everything is customizable, and that's what I love about the software integration that we have in Ford F-150s today. Now looking up top here, we have an array of buttons here. You have the off-road button, you have the traction control on and off, hazards, parking assist, camera view. If you click that button, you're going to pop up all the cameras that you have on this truck, and you have a lot of cameras. It's not the best resolution, I wouldn't say, but still, you do have side cameras, rear view cameras, front view cameras, the tow hook camera facing straight down onto the tow hook, so it's easy to hook up a trailer if you need to do that. Side vents looks decently integrated as well, very functional, super easy to use. Here you have the trailer hookup dial and the trail brake controls. Love that it's rubberized, very easy to grip. You have the start button down here. Further down, look at this beautiful situation that we have here with all these physical buttons. For the volume knob, you have the tuning, you have a bunch of radio settings here, buttons, and everything for the climate control settings are all physical, thankfully, in this truck. And this is what I want to see. We have a beautiful integration of a gauge cluster that sits very far into the dash. Also a stunning integration of the infotainment screen, looks naturally integrated in this case. But in addition to that, we also still have the physical dials and buttons for the climate control settings. Fan speed, heated and cooled seats in 3 different levels. Let's turn on the cooled seats right now. And you also have the 3 levels for heated seats and the heated steering wheel for both the passenger and the driver. Moving on to the side here, you have the drive mode selector. So you have 7 different drive modes. We have Sport, Eco, Tow Haul, Normal, Slippery, Off-Road, and Rock Crawl. Now if we put it in off-road, you're gonna get a specific layout for the gauge cluster, which I love. It looks so cool, specifically with this green. And again, the middle section here is completely customizable to whatever you need when you're going off-road. And in addition to that view, it also pops up the front view camera with these trajectory lines for where the front wheels are going to go, and it also follows when you turn the steering wheel. Super useful to have. If you see big rocks, you know exactly where to position your wheels. Further down, you do have a big wireless charger here, which is rubberized and have some texture to it, so your phone is not going to slide all over the place. You also have 2 USBs, one USB-C, USB regular, and this specific F-150 gear selector feels a little flappy to me, or maybe a little cheap. This is maybe the one thing in here that I would like to change. You can also fold this down if you want to, because we have this situation here. If you need to work in your truck, you can put your laptop up here and have this be completely flat, which is pretty useful if you do a lot of remote work and always bring your laptop with you. 2 cup holders here, a small little slot in the middle. Let's fold this back up. You can also open the center armrest up, and we have a big storage space down here as well, in addition to a soft leather wrapped armrest with this orange stitching coming back right here. Looking at the steering wheel here, typical Ford F-150 steering wheel, beautiful with the Tremor stitching on the inside here. It's not too big, it's not too small, it's just a perfect size. On the right side here, you have the configuration for the gauge cluster in the middle, and on the left side you have the controls for the cruise control setting. You also have this automated driving assist when you're on the highway. where essentially you can take your hands off the steering wheel and the car will do the driving for you. Up top, we do have a big sunroof that goes all the way back to the passenger side. I'm definitely gonna keep this closed for now because it's getting very hot outside. And last but not least, you have a glove box up top. Open that with this button right here, and you also have a huge glove box down here in the bottom. Looking at the seats here before we jump back into the back seats, beautiful seats. Again, Tremor specific. You have the Tremor embroidered into the backrest here, looking nice, heated and cooled, as I said. I love that we have the gold piping here on the sides in addition to the gold stitching going all around here. Pretty sporty looking seats for what this is. It's a off-road truck, but you still have a lot of side support here and bolstering, which I think looks nice and also makes it a lot more comfortable. Jumping into the back seat, and me being 6'1", 6'2", I'm not gonna have any issues whatsoever fitting back here. Plenty of space. I feel like I sit a lot higher up than I do in the front, but that's totally fine. We have heated seats back here. As I said, you also have this 12-volt house outlet located here in addition to two USB-Cs down low. If we fold down the center armrest, you do have two cup holders, and underneath these seats, you also have these compartments to store grocery bags and stuff like that, which I think is a very cool idea. You just have to fold up the seat and you can store stuff underneath here. What I was surprised by when I first got in this truck is just how smooth and comfortable this is. Personally, I would maybe want to put 35s on here because I think 35s in this type of size of truck, it just fills out the wheelhouses. It looks better proportionally, in my opinion. That's why I put 35s on my Ram Rebel. And I also would probably level it and put some liners into the back wheel wells to make it look finished. Now without them, it looks sort of like a work truck. It looks a little unfinished to me. But the driving of this 2024 F-150 Tremor is just so smooth. I have it in Eco now. And the thing is, this V6, it's very fast, a lot quicker than I was expecting it to be. And it has the same amount of power as the V8. You have 400 horsepower, 500 pound-feet of torque, 0 to 60 in about 5.8 seconds. The V8 comes with the same 400 horsepower, but the torque dips to 410 instead of 500 for the V6. So I'm having a hard time justifying getting the V8 unless you're gonna go for the Raptor. The Raptor, you want the V8 rumble and the noise in that car. But in this one, totally fine with the 3.5 liter twin turbo EcoBoost V6. All right, coming out to this main road here, going up the mountains. Let's put it into, I actually have not had it in sport yet. This is interesting. This is one of these cars or vehicles that I don't feel need a sport setting because it's not a sporty car at all, and that is a problem today with today's cars, that every single vehicle, no matter if it's a big 5,000 pound SUV or a truck like this, it still needs to have a sport button. I don't understand why. But let's step on it here and let's see what this can do. As I said, it feels way quicker than I was expecting, specifically the V6. But since it has the same power as the V8, it is still pretty quick and more torque as well. It's just a good overall truck. If you want to have some fun, I guess you could have some fun here on these roads. And then if you want to take it off-road, it still is a proper Tremor. So you have all the skid plates protecting all the important bits and pieces underneath, and you also have a 1-inch lift compared to regular F-150s. It also sounds very good. It sounds great. V6s are very easy to make them sound nice, and Ford has definitely made a good job with this Tremor right here. I was very surprised when I got this truck and I looked at the range. 650 miles on a single tank? That's incredible. you can't really compete with that if you have any sort of EV, and then you have a 5-minute fill up instead of having to wait for 25 minutes. That is still the main downfall, or not downfall, but con with EVs if you want to go on long road trips. It feels great to drive. So comfortable, just soaks up the road, all the imperfections in the road. And these General Grabber all-terrain tires, I can't hear any road noise whatsoever. It just feels so comfortable. Perfect road trip truck, this thing. Thankfully, I don't have any paddles, because that would just be ridiculous. I understand that if I have it in the Raptor, but in this, I don't need the paddle. If you want to, if you're, for example, going downhill, you want to do some engine braking, you can do that by pressing these buttons right here, plus minus on the side of the gear selector here. Brakes feel good too. They are a little bit on the spongier side, but I think that's what you want if you have more of an off-road truck, because it gives you a better, more of a gradient in how much pressure you want to adjust. Specifically if you're rock crawling, that's sort of what you want to have. So if you don't feel like you really want to spend all that money on a F-150 Raptor, this one comes out at just over $64,000. I think this is a great idea if you want the middle ground between the normal F-150s, still add a little bit more performance, a little bit more off-road capabilities, but not all the way up to the Ford Raptor and that price point. This is probably the truck for you.